For millennia, China has crafted one of the world's most breathtaking epics. Yet beyond the gleaming skylines and well-trodden landmarks lies a realm unseen, a silent kingdom waiting to be uncovered. Here, jagged peaks pierce through ocean-like mists, and centuries-old villages hang balanced defyingly on sheer cliffs. Forgotten trails snake through deep, whispering woodlands, while emerald waters glimmer silently in the heart of endless sands. The true magic of these destinations reaches beyond their sheer beauty. Every valley, stone, and winding stream holds a secret history, tales reserved strictly for travelers willing to stray from the paved road. Prepare to cross the threshold into China's least-known sanctuaries. We are diving into forgotten wonderlands, living histories, and surreal landscapes that defy reality itself. What happens when a 1,000-year-old village is left with only a few dozen elderly residents and is nearly forgotten by the outside world? The answer lies deep in the Taihang Mountains of Shanxi, where the village of Digan clings to a vertical cliff as though time has never laid a finger upon it. Nearly 100 ancient houses of wood, stone, and earth are stacked one atop another, forming a mass that resembles a miniature Patala palace. Its most distinctive feature is the multi-level layout, where the roof of one house becomes the footpath of another, all connected by worn stone staircases with not a trace of concrete in sight. Today, the village's last guardians are past 70 years of age, quietly preserving a way of life that has endured for generations. They survive on mountain water and narrow terraced fields, in a place where stone is regarded as the soul and keeper of the village's history. If an entire town were built inside a waterfall, what would it look like? The ancient town of Furong in Hunan, known as the thousand-year-old settlement hanging above a cascade, leaves visitors searching for words. Houses grip the steep cliffs at the very point where a massive waterfall plunges into the river below. The traditional two-jia stilt houses are built high upon the cliff face, rooted in the belief that malevolent spirits linger close to the ground, and so people choose to live above them. A walkway carved into the rock behind the curtain of water allows visitors to pass through the waterfall without getting wet, gazing upon it as though standing behind a colossal liquid veil. After nightfall, lanterns cast a warm golden glow across the entire town while the waterfall shimmers through the surrounding forest. Beyond the scenery, visitors can immerse themselves in the local culture and cuisine, making this a travel destination unlike any other. A cave might seem like an unremarkable place, but appearances can be deceiving. And the same holds for places hidden far from the familiar world. This enormous cavern, spanning 115 meters in width, serves as the communal roof for 18 Miao families, known as the last cave-dwelling tribe in Asia. What makes it most remarkable is that the houses have no roofs of their own, because the ancient stone arch above functions as a single shared canopy, vast enough to shelter homes, livestock pens, and even a basketball court and a school that operated until 2011. To reach this otherworldly settlement, one must walk for more than an hour along a steep mountain trail. There are no roads for vehicles, no cable cars. Life here feels surreal, with flat-screen televisions and washing machines placed beside flimsy bamboo walls under the faint light filtering through the cave. The stone city of Huashan is a hidden gem for those who seek the extraordinary. A rare stone fortress where an entire Naxi village is built from volcanic rock rather than on level ground, blending seamlessly with the rugged terrain that surrounds it. The village rests precariously atop a unique mushroom-shaped rock formation, encircled by vertical cliffs and the powerful current of the Jinsha River. This natural design once made the settlement nearly impossible to conquer. The houses appear to be woven together, creating a dazzling tableau at first light. Around the base of the rock, terraced fields channel water from mountain streams, forming a striking contrast with the sheer inaccessibility of the place. The ancient Dongba pictographic script is still preserved in daily life, and the only means of transporting goods remains the strength of human hands and horses. In the mountains of Sichuan stands a village where hundreds of Tibetan houses painted in red and white seem to defy gravity, cascading up the hillside beside ancient stone towers reaching as high as 60 meters. Built to withstand the harsh climate of the highlands, the dwellings feature thick stone walls, narrow windows, and a defensive architecture that has remained nearly unchanged for centuries. On every rooftop, 4 raised corners represent the 4 sacred mountains believed to protect the village. But Danba harbors a mystery even more fascinating. Tradition links it to the legendary Eastern Kingdom of Women, an ancient matrilineal society that gave rise to its enduring reputation as the Valley of Beauties, making this corner of Chinese Tibet one of the most singular and enigmatic places in the country. Hidden in the far north of Xinjiang lies a village that makes many wonder whether they have truly crossed into another world. This is Kyongkutai, a place known as the Switzerland of the East, where snow-capped mountains, ancient conifer forests, and boundless meadows converge to form a landscape that feels entirely removed from the modern era. In the heart of this valley, hundreds of wooden houses have endured for generations. Constructed from spruce logs using age-old joinery techniques without a single metal nail, they carry the imprint of the nomadic communities that inhabited this region for centuries. But Gyeonggutai is more than a village of extraordinary beauty. It was also the northern gateway of the ancient Wusun Road, a route stretching back more than 2,000 years, along which trade caravans, warriors, and princesses of the Han dynasty once traveled toward the vast steppe-lands beyond. The most surprising phenomenon occurs in summer, when sunlight lingers on the horizon until nearly 11 at night. In Gyeonggutai, among the remote mountains of Xinjiang, time itself appears to follow an entirely different set of rules. If it is peace and stillness you seek, a high lake holds the answer. Follow the path to Shiju, the ancient Bai village, nestled between the Huangshan Mountains and the shimmering waters of Erhai in Yunnan. The saying that 3 cups of tea can tell the story of an entire lifetime was born in this centuries-old settlement, a place that preserves Bai culture and once concealed a secret airstrip used by the Flying Tigers during the Second World War, in addition to serving as a trading post along the Silk Road. More than 200 ancient mansions remain inhabited to this day, making it a living museum. The village is celebrated for its elegant 3-bay architecture with ornamental screen walls designed to capture the sunlight of the highland plateau. Walking its streets, passing the exquisite traditional houses of the Bai people, one encounters warm-hearted locals whose smiles seem to mirror the beauty of the nearby lake. In Guangxi, there are mountains whose slopes have all but vanished beneath thousands of rice terraces that climb from the valley floor to the summit, tracing the outline of an enormous dragon's spine. From this image comes the name Longji, meaning backbone of the dragon. Built since the 13th century on mountainsides rising above 800 meters, these terraces are still cultivated by traditional methods, as the steep gradient makes modern machinery impossible to use. Forests crown the highest reaches, terraces blanket the slopes, and villages rest at the foot of the mountain, forming a natural system that distributes water evenly and helps prevent erosion and landslides. Each season transforms the landscape completely. In spring, the flooded terraces mirror the sky like vast sheets of glass. In autumn, the mountains are cloaked in an immense golden mantle of ripened rice. Longji is also home to the Red Yao people, renowned for the extraordinary length of their women's hair, which often reaches all the way to the ground. Walking the paths that wind between the terraces offers a profound understanding of how entire generations managed to turn a mountain into one of the most breathtaking agricultural masterpieces the world has ever seen. There are sounds that vanished from the world thousands of years ago, but among the mountains of Guizhou, there exists a place where they never fell silent. That place is the Dong village of Jiaoxing, one of the best preserved traditional settlements of the Dong people. It is divided into 5 districts, each crowned by its own drum tower rising as high as 26 meters. Around them, hundreds of stilt houses are still built using the ancient mortise and tenon method without a single iron nail. Yet the true treasure of Jiaoxing is not its architecture. It lives in the polyphonic Dong singing, a tradition passed from generation to generation for more than 2,500 years. These ancestral voices astonished the world in Paris in 1986 and in 2009 were recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage of humanity. When night descends, the ancient melodies fill the valley once more. Voices echo around the drum towers and blend with the rhythmic pounding of mallets used to dye cloth with indigo. There is no stage, no spotlight, only a culture that remains alive, still singing exactly as it did thousands of years ago. For centuries, the world has tried to conquer mountains. But there is a place where the opposite occurred. Here, it was humanity that learned to obey them. Suspended at nearly 1,800 meters above a sea of clouds, Zhangjiajie is part of the Honey Rice Terraces, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. More than 3,700 terraces drape the mountains as though they were born alongside them, while traditional mushroom-shaped houses remain half hidden in the mist. How has this place managed to feed generation after generation without breaking the mountain's balance? The answer has been working for centuries. Forests hold the water, villages occupy the slopes, terraces produce rice while nurturing fish and ducks, and the rivers complete a natural cycle that has barely changed with the passing of time. Here, the sacred forests remain untouchable because the life of the entire community depends on them. Without concrete buildings, without industrial agriculture, and without altering the original landscape, honey families continue to maintain their ancestral homes and a way of life handed down across the generations. Ajek does not feel like a place frozen in the past. It feels like a place where time chose to move more slowly, reminding us that sometimes the greatest human achievement is not to transform nature, but to learn to live alongside it. On the coast of Shandong lies an extraordinary village where the sea not only feeds the inhabitants but also shelters their homes. In Zhangjiajie, ancient houses dating back hundreds of years are covered with thick layers of dried seaweed, creating an architectural style found nowhere else on Earth. Seen from above, the ash-gray rooftops look like enormous mushroom caps huddled beside a crescent-shaped bay, giving the entire village the appearance of a gathering of stone turtles resting peacefully before the sea. During winter, the mingling of fresh water and the yellow sea keeps the bay from freezing, drawing tens of thousands of Siberian swans to its shores. White snow, grey rooftops, and flocks of swans compose a scene of almost impossible tranquility. What is most astonishing is that these swans show no fear of people. Among the ancient houses of the village, they walk freely beside the residents, creating a singular tableau where nature and human life have coexisted in harmony for centuries. Few nations on Earth have been so deeply sculpted by nature as this one. Thousands of years ago, it was the great rivers that carved the path for one of the oldest civilizations humanity has ever known. The Yellow River and the Yangtze breathed life into the earliest communities, turning barren earth into fertile plains where people first learned to cultivate the soil, raise villages, and nurture the ancient cultures that would define an entire continent. Among them, the Yellow River is revered as the cradle of Chinese civilization. Its waters carried vast quantities of sediment down from the Tibetan plateau, creating rich lowlands where the first dynasties rose and the foundations of a story spanning more than 5 millennia were quietly laid. Over the course of those millennia, that ancient land evolved into the China of today, a vast country stretching across roughly 9.6 million square kilometers, home to more than 1.4 billion people, and cradling a cultural diversity that reaches from the highest mountains on Earth to its sweeping plains below. Yet what sets China apart is not merely its size, but the stories that remain hidden within every mountain, every river, and every ancient structure still standing. It is a land where the past refuses to fade, where every journey reveals another chapter in a narrative that stretches back more than 5,000 years. A civilization is not built solely upon great cities or extraordinary monuments. It is also shaped by values that have survived in silence across thousands of years. Through more than 50 centuries of unbroken history, the people of this land have woven a culture of rare depth, one where family, tradition, and harmony with the natural world became the pillars upon which everything else was built. Shaped by three great currents of thought, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, this culture has profoundly influenced how people understand life, community, and their place within the universe. These values do not live only in ancient texts. They endure in temples perched upon sacred mountains, in ancestral villages tucked between valleys, and in customs passed quietly from one generation to the next. To understand the soul of a civilization, one must venture into those places where time still carries the fingerprints of the past. Some structures were built to withstand the passing of centuries, but the Great Wall of China was raised to defy time itself. Stretching more than 21,000 kilometers, it remains the largest military construction ever undertaken by human hands. Crossing mountains, deserts, grasslands, and sheer cliff faces, every section was erected in places where building seemed beyond possibility. Even today, standing before it, as it winds through the mountains, is an experience that leaves words behind, overwhelmed by the sheer immensity of its scale. Yet behind this marvel lies an enormous sacrifice. Across centuries, millions of soldiers, laborers, and prisoners toiled under brutal conditions to bring it into existence. Many of them never returned home, leaving their lives among the very mountains where the wall still stands. More than 2,000 years later, the Great Wall no longer shields an empire. It has become an eternal symbol of human determination and one of the greatest wonders in the entire history of civilization. Rising more than 1,500 meters into the sky, Tianmen Mountain is among the most striking natural landscapes in all of China. Its immense stone arch, known as the Gateway to Heaven, has been regarded for centuries as a sacred bridge between earth and sky. The adventure begins aboard the longest cable car in the world, a journey of nearly 8 kilometers suspended above dense forests, plunging valleys, and jagged cliffs, offering a panoramic view that reveals the breathtaking vastness of Zhangjiajie from above. Upon reaching the summit, the path continues along 999 stone steps that lead directly toward the gateway to heaven. In Chinese tradition, this number carries the meaning of perfection and the ascent toward the divine. Standing before that colossal natural arch, the grandeur of the landscape reduces the human figure to something impossibly small. It is no accident that Tianmen is counted among the most sacred mountains in China and that its scenery has inspired some of the most spectacular imagery ever captured on film. Unlike most mountains, Mount Wutai does not culminate in a single peak. 5 flat-topped summits rise beyond 3,000 meters, forming a landscape that seems to hover between heaven and earth. For over 1,000 years, this place has served as one of the greatest spiritual centers of Buddhism in China. According to tradition, it is the sacred domain of the Bodhisattva Manjushri, the embodiment of wisdom, a belief that has drawn monks and pilgrims from across Asia to its slopes for centuries. Nestled among forests and ridgelines, more than 50 temples and monasteries endure, many with histories reaching back over a millennium. The cool mountain air, the sound of distant bells, and the silence that wraps around every trail create a feeling that time itself has come to rest. At Wutai, true greatness is not found in the height of its peaks, but in a spiritual atmosphere that has remained nearly untouched across the ages. Would you dare walk a trail where a single misstep could send you tumbling into an abyss hundreds of meters below? Located in the province of Shanxi, Mount Huashan is one of the 5 sacred mountains of China and among the holiest sites of Taoism, carrying a spiritual legacy of more than 2,000 years. Its nearly vertical cliffs give the entire mountain the appearance of an immense cluster of stone blades thrust toward the sky. As the ascent continues, the path grows ever narrower and more treacherous. Many of the steps were carved directly into the rock, while ancient iron chains, anchored centuries ago, remain the only handhold for those who climb. The greatest challenge is the infamous plank walk, widely regarded as one of the most dangerous hiking trails on Earth. A handful of wooden boards bolted to the edge of the cliff face is all that separates visitors from a sheer drop of hundreds of meters. Today, every visitor must wear a safety harness to cross this section. Each step becomes a quiet battle between fear and the desire to press forward, making Mount Huashan one of the most viscerally powerful experiences China has to offer. There are lakes that exist only to be admired from a distance. But Erhai has sustained an entire civilization for thousands of years. For the Bai people, it is not simply a body of water. It is the very soul of the ancient Dali region. At the foot of the Huangshan Mountains, its turquoise waters embrace ancient villages that have stood in this same place, generation after generation. Houses with white walls, grey tiled roofs, and vivid traditional murals still preserve the identity of a culture that time has never managed to erase. Along the shore, narrow paths connect ancestral villages, open fields, and small wooden docks. Cycling the lakeshore, pausing for a cup of tea, or savoring the local cuisine reveals a rhythm of life that seems to have stood still for centuries. Though Dali has experienced rapid tourism development, Erhai Lake still holds much of its original essence. Beyond its natural beauty, this place remains a symbol of the harmony between humanity and nature, making it one of the most culturally fascinating landscapes in all of Yunnan. Deep in the heart of Gishu stands a mountain whose summit seems to belong to the realm of the impossible. Two small temples rise atop a colossal rock, split cleanly in two, suspended at more than 2,500 meters above sea level, as though the laws of nature simply decided to look the other way. Beneath that extraordinary silhouette stretches one of the oldest and most precious nature reserves in China. Primeval forests, draped in centuries-old trees, envelop the mountain, sheltering a unique ecosystem where numerous rare species continue to survive. Reaching the top has never been easy. Thousands of stone steps, hewn directly into the cliff, climb between near vertical walls. The higher one ascends, the narrower and more demanding the trail becomes, turning every stretch into a genuine test of endurance. When clouds engulf the mountain, the forests vanish completely beneath a vast white ocean. Only the twin summits emerge above the mist, conjuring the illusion of an island floating in the sky, a landscape that seems to exist outside the boundaries of the real world. A slender stone stairway connects the two temples at the peak, suspended beside the abyss. As the clouds drift beneath your feet, one question becomes impossible to silence. How could anyone have built such a place, in a spot where the sky feels far closer than the earth? There are mountains one admires from afar, and there are mountains whose sheer presence makes the human figure feel impossibly small. Siguniang belongs to the latter. 4 snow-clad peaks rise side by side, commanding the horizon as though they have stood motionless since the very beginning of the world. The name means the 4 sisters. According to legend, each summit represents a sister transformed into a mountain to protect this land for eternity. The tallest, known as the eldest sister, rises with quiet majesty above the rest, becoming the enduring symbol of the entire range. From Chengdu, the landscape transforms with every passing kilometer. Buildings dissolve, pine forests climb the slopes, and sweeping meadows give way to deep valleys. Among them lies the Changping Valley, where in spring and summer, thousands of wildflowers turn the valley floor into an immense tapestry of color. Unlike many celebrated destinations, Siguniang retains its untamed character. At dawn, the first rays of sunlight set the snowy peaks ablaze in tones of gold, rose, and amber, a spectacle that lasts only a few fleeting minutes but lingers in memory forever. Here, the true protagonist is not the human visitor. It is the mountains themselves, the silence, and the immensity of a landscape that reminds us nature is still capable of composing scenes far grander than anything built by human hands. Nothing prepares a visitor for the first sight of Zhangjiajie. Before the eyes unfold, mountains streaked with immense bands of red, gold, amber, and dusky blue, as though some unseen painter had swept the earth in colors too vivid to be real. But no human hand played a part in this creation. Hundreds of millions of years ago, successive layers of mineral-rich sediment were buried deep beneath the surface. In time, The upward thrust of the Earth's crust pushed them skyward, while wind and rain slowly chiseled the forms we see today. As the sun rises, the landscape transforms once more. Light awakens each layer of color, one by one, making the mountains appear to shift and change with every passing minute. No single moment is ever the same as the one before. What is most astonishing is that Zhangjiajie never offers the same view twice. Simply moving to a different vantage point reveals new shapes, new lines, and new contrasts of color, as if the entire range were somehow alive. Known to some as the Fairy Village, Huangshan lies hidden in the province of Jiangsu, where ancient houses with curving rooftops seem to defy gravity as they cling to granite cliffs more than 110 meters high. What few people realize is that this place was once a quarry ravaged by pollution. Its waters had turned a chalky white before an ambitious restoration project breathed life back into the valley and transformed it into one of the most extraordinary landscapes in China. Its structures were raised using the ancient mortise and tenon technique, without a single iron nail. Among them stands the Yang Mansion, which has endured for more than 600 years, while the Lam Nguyen Bridge illuminates the night with 108 lights inspired by the constellation of the Great Bear. With a history stretching back nearly 2,000 years, Huangshan takes its name from the legend of a hermit who sought immortality. Designed according to the principles of feng shui, this valley feels like the place where nature and architecture found a balance that should have been impossible. If you didn't see them with your own eyes, you'd probably never believe these places really exist. Hidden among China's endless mountains are wonders shaped by both nature and human hands over thousands of years, places that somehow have remained beyond the view of most of the world. There are peaks that seem to float above the earth. Enormous Buddha statues, carved into towering cliffs, have stood in silent watch for more than 1,000 years. And there are ancient cities where life still moves at the same pace, as if time itself had never passed. Today, we'll follow the trail of these extraordinary places, uncovering stories few have ever heard and secrets preserved for millennia. A journey to discover why China remains one of the most fascinating and mysterious lands on Earth. Hidden in the mountains of Hunan lies an ancient city where time seems to have quietly stood still. Along the banks of the Tuojiang River, hundreds of wooden houses appear to rise from the water itself. Built in the traditional Diaojiaolu style, they stand on timber pillars anchored deep into the riverbed, resisting both the current and the passage of centuries. But what is most remarkable about Fenghuang lies not only in its buildings, but in the history that remains etched into every corner. Stone bridges, more than 300 years old, have watched entire generations cross above them, while narrow alleyways paved in blue stone still carry the traces of millions of footsteps worn into their surface over the long passage of time. Walking through these streets is like stepping into a painting from an earlier age. The weathered wood, the walls darkened by years of rain and sunlight, and the constant murmur of the river create the sensation of traveling to an era that has vanished from most other places on Earth. As night falls, thousands of red lanterns light up the city, their reflections turning the river into a shimmering mirror of color. In that moment, Fenghuang feels less like an ancient town and more like a stage suspended between history and dream. More than a destination, it remains a living memory of an older China, preserved in its streets, waters, and weathered wooden houses. Just a few hundred meters from the bustling city of Xiamen lies an island where time seems to move at a forgotten pace. Surrounded by crystal-clear waters and white sand beaches, Gulangyu is free from the noise of engines and traffic. The only way to explore it is on foot, following ancient stone paths through gardens and historic buildings that hold more than a century of stories. In the late 19th century, foreign merchants and diplomats arrived on this small territory and left behind a unique architectural imprint. Elegant European villas blended with the traditional houses of southern Fujian, creating a landscape where East and West coexist in a harmony that feels neither accidental nor forced. But the true spirit of Gulangyu is heard rather than seen. Among the old mansions and quiet streets, melodies of piano music still drift through open windows. The island became known as the Island of Pianos, home to thousands of instruments and the birthplace of many of China's most celebrated classical musicians. When evening falls and the first lights begin to glow, Gulangyu seems to hang suspended between the past and the present, a small island where architecture, music, and history continue to live at the same unhurried pace. Rising above an ocean of green forest, a chain of red sandstone mountains appears like a lost kingdom carved by nature's own hand. Over more than 100 million years, wind and water sculpted these peaks into a labyrinth of vertical cliffs, colossal pillars, and rock formations so strange they seem to belong to another planet entirely. But between these walls of red stone lies more than a natural masterpiece. Hidden beneath enormous rocky overhangs, ancient temples have been excavated directly into the mountain, while on the most inaccessible summits, solitary shrines survive as though daring the void to reclaim them. To reach them, visitors must climb hundreds of steps carved directly into the rock, following ancient paths suspended between the sky and the abyss below. With a landscape impossible to replicate and a singular fusion of wild nature and human presence, this place is not merely a hiking destination. It is a journey into a world where the earth itself appears to have been sculpted by imagination. For centuries, this place has been the stage for a relentless battle between water and stone. Here, the Yellow River does not simply flow. It roars through the mountains with a force that shakes the earth. Squeezed between the cliffs of northern China, millions of tons of golden water plunge through a narrow gorge, creating one of the country's most powerful and spectacular waterfalls. The intense yellow color comes from the countless sediments the Yellow River carries across thousands of kilometers. When the water strikes the rocks, the sound reverberates through the valley like thunder, while an enormous cloud of mist rises into the air. Under sunlight, the tiny, suspended droplets create rainbows that appear and vanish above the current like fleeting promises. During flood season, the force of the river reaches its peak. The waters advance with a power that cannot be contained, striking the natural barriers as though trying to break the mountain apart. And yet, hundreds of visitors remain beside the viewpoint, watching in silence. Because standing before this waterfall one does not merely observe water falling. One witnesses the full power of an ancient river showing everything it is capable of. Rising above an infinite ocean of clouds, Mount Emei resembles a sacred island suspended between heaven and earth. At its summit, more than 3,000 meters above sea level, stands the Golden Summit, one of the most venerated sites in Chinese Buddhism and one of the 4 sacred mountains of the tradition. There, an enormous golden statue of Samantabhadra dominates the landscape. At 48 meters in height, its 10 faces gaze outward in every direction, symbolizing a wisdom that reaches every corner of the world. Below its feet, 6 golden tusks support the figure of the sacred elephant, while the ancient Golden Hall and Silver Hall stand at its side like silent guardians of the mountain. But reaching this place has never been simple. For centuries, pilgrims and travelers have ascended thousands of stone steps to reach a summit where clouds cover the temples, snow transforms the forests into a white landscape, and the silence seems to separate this place from the world that lies below. From the Golden Summit, the mountains vanish beneath a sea of clouds, and all that remains is the wind, the snow, and the ancient structures that have endured the passage of time. More than a mountain, Emei is a journey toward a world where nature and spirituality appear to exist in perfect and undisturbed harmony. Hidden in Xinjiang's Altai Mountains lies Canis Lake, a place that seems to change with every passing moment. Beneath the sunlight, its waters shift between emerald green, turquoise, and the deep blue of the sky. At dawn, drifting mist blankets the lake, creating a landscape that feels almost beyond the real world. Surrounded by endless forests of Siberian pine, fir, and birch, Canis preserves one of the most intact natural landscapes in all of China. In autumn, the mountains ignite in golden tones, while in winter, the snow covers the valley completely, and the lake becomes a silent kingdom of ice and white. But the beauty of Canis is not the only thing that draws those who make the journey to this remote place. For centuries, the inhabitants of the region have told stories of a mysterious creature living in the depths of the lake. Some believe an ancient being protects the waters, and that encountering it is a sign of good fortune. Perhaps it is only a story born between the mountains, or perhaps the lake still guards secrets that no one has managed to uncover. In Cannes, nature does not merely create extraordinary landscapes, it leaves questions that remain floating upon the surface of its waters. In a land where the air is scarce and life seems impossible, an enormous blue ocean hides upon the roof of the world. Surrounded by the immense mountains of the Tibetan Plateau, Qinghai Lake appears as an anomaly of nature, a sea of salt water in the midst of one of the highest and most remote regions on the planet. From above, its waters seem to extend without end, reflecting a sky so clear it becomes difficult to distinguish where the land finishes and the horizon begins. At certain moments, the deep blue of the lake blends with infinite meadows and golden fields of flowers, creating a landscape that appears to belong to another world entirely. Yet beneath its quiet beauty lies an even greater wonder. Every year, hundreds of thousands of migratory birds travel vast distances to make this lake one of Asia's most important wildlife refuges. For the Tibetan people, Qinghai is more than a lake. It is a sacred place where prayer flags flutter in the wind, carrying wishes toward the mountains. In this forgotten corner of China, a sea born far from the ocean holds a question that has fascinated visitors for as long as anyone can remember. How can a place this extreme become one of the landscapes most filled with life and spirituality on the planet? In the midst of the endless grasslands of Inner Mongolia, a strange army of stone emerges from the earth as though it had been left behind by an ancient civilization that departed without explanation. This is the Asihatu Stone Forest, a landscape where hundreds of granite giants rise toward the sky in forms that defy every expectation the mind brings to stone. Formed during the Ice Age and sculpted by millions of years of wind and erosion, these rocks have become towering pillars, walls, and figures that defy the imagination. Some rise over 40 meters like giant fortresses, while others resemble silent human figures watching over the endless grasslands for millennia. But the most surprising element is not the magnitude of the formations alone. It is the landscape that surrounds them. Beneath these gray monuments, there is no empty desert. Instead, a meadow covered in life spreads outward, its intense green contrasting with the hardness of the rock in a combination that seems too deliberate to be accidental. Recognized as part of the UNESCO Hexigton Global Geopark, this rare granite forest is one of the most extraordinary geological creations on the planet, a place where millions of years of history remain frozen in stone. At the meeting of three powerful rivers, a colossal stone, Buddha, has sat in silence for more than 1,000 years. It was not built upon the mountain, but carved directly into the cliffs of Lingyun. Rising 71 meters high, the Leshan giant Buddha transforms an entire rock face into one of humanity's greatest sculptural masterpieces. Its scale is almost beyond comprehension. 1 foot alone is large enough for dozens of people to stand on, while every feature, from its serene face to its massive hands, was carved over decades. Yet the statue was never built for grandeur. It overlooks the meeting of the Min, Dadu, and Qingyi rivers, where dangerous currents claimed countless lives for centuries. More than 1,200 years ago, monks of the Tang dynasty made a decision that seemed impossible. They would carve an entire mountain to create a guardian capable of confronting the fury of the water. After nearly a century of work, the rock was transformed into an eternal presence. Today, the Huashan giant Buddha continues to gaze toward the river, unmoved by storms, floods, and the rise and fall of empires, a giant of stone that has never stopped watching over this land. In China, there is a place where the land stretches endlessly and the horizon seems out of reach. This is Huangshan, one of the largest and wildest grasslands on Earth. With no mountains or cities to break the view, an endless sea of grass meets the sky, while winding rivers carve graceful paths across the vast landscape. For centuries, this vast prairie has been home to nomadic peoples who follow the rhythm of the seasons. Horses run freely across the fields, entire herds move beneath the open sky, and white yurts appear like small human islands in the middle of an immensity that cannot be measured by any instrument the modern world has produced. But Huangshan changes its face as though it were several worlds contained within a single place. In autumn, the green grassland disappears and becomes a golden sea surrounded by amber birch forests. In winter, a blanket of snow covers the entire territory, erasing the paths and leaving only the tracks of horses upon an absolute silence. Here, where the wind can travel hundreds of kilometers without encountering a single obstacle, a way of life has survived that outlasted every force the modern world has sent against it. Huangshan is not simply a prairie, it is a remaining fragment of an ancient world where nature still decides the rhythm of life. Crossing forest bridges, visitors are suddenly met by the thunder of Huangshan waterfall plunging from towering cliffs into the gorge below. Standing 78 meters high and over 100 meters wide, it is fed by the Baishui River, whose flow surges during the rainy season. Mist fills the air as the roar of the falls echoes throughout the valley. But the true secret lies inside the cave, behind the curtain of water. This passage allows visitors to walk directly behind the cascade. Within its chambers, nature has shaped stalactites into every imaginable form, and the sound of falling water fills the stone corridors with a vibration that the body feels before the ears fully register it. At night, the waterfall changes constantly under colored lights, shifting from blue to purple, then to red and gold, as though something from a world of fantasy had chosen this gorge as its stage. Perched on near vertical cliffs, hundreds of temples and palaces have clung to Mount Huangshan for centuries. Beneath the immense Bafo rock, a natural overhang nearly 60 meters high and over 180 meters long, ancient halls were constructed without altering the mountain itself, creating a masterpiece that seems to defy gravity. Multi-level temples merge with the cliffs in such a way that architecture and nature appear to become a single entity. For more than 1,000 years, this place has served as an important center for both Buddhism and Taoism. Along the pathways, thousands of bronze bells and red ribbons hang from the precipices, moving without rest in the wind. What is most unsettling is that no one knows with certainty who placed them there or how they managed to do so on terrain this inaccessible. Hidden just minutes from Hangzhou's skyline lies Shixi National Wetland Park, a vast labyrinth where canals, lakes, and marshes cover more than 70% of the landscape. From above, its countless islands seem to form a world completely detached from the city that surrounds it. This is one of the richest wetlands in eastern China. Among the vegetation survive ancient rock gardens, stone bridges, and traditional Jiangnan wooden houses. The finest way to explore it is aboard a small boat that advances slowly through the narrow channels, as though navigating toward another century. Here, there is no traffic and no urban noise. Only the sound of oars upon the water, the singing of birds, and the tranquility of the riverside villages. It is difficult to believe that a place this silent remains hidden in the heart of one of the most modern cities in China. For over 1,500 years, the Wudang grottos have preserved one of the world's greatest sculptural masterpieces. Carved into nearly a kilometer of sandstone cliffs, they contain 252 caves and more than 51,000 Buddha statues. Together, they transform the mountainside into an immense gallery of Buddhist art carved in stone. From the outside, the caves appear as simple openings in the rock. But upon entering, enormous Buddha figures emerge from the darkness. The largest reaches roughly 17 meters in height and is surrounded by hundreds of smaller figures where every fold of the robes and every expression of the face was sculpted with extraordinary precision. More than 15 centuries later, these works remain nearly intact, as though time had barely left a mark upon them. Standing before an entire mountain converted into a masterpiece, it becomes impossible not to ask how many generations and how many years were required to create a legacy this extraordinary. Few people would expect to find a massive canyon on the Loess Plateau of China. Yet here is where the Yellow River has been cutting ever deeper into the earth across millions of years of relentless erosion. From above, the Yellow River winds in graceful curves around towering mountains. In places, it bends nearly 180 degrees, resembling a giant ink painting brought to life. Reddish-brown cliffs rise on either side, revealing layers of rock sculpted by nature over millions of years. Only when standing at the edge does one truly appreciate the overwhelming scale of the Yellow River Grand Canyon. It is one of the most pristine, ancient, and awe-inspiring landscapes in all of China. In the middle of the East China Sea rises a small island covered in forest, cloud, and the ceaseless sound of temple bells. This is Mount Putuo, one of the 4 sacred mountains of Buddhism in China. Entirely separated from the mainland, the only way to reach it is by crossing the sea on a ferry. Within less than 13 square kilometers, dozens of temples spread from the coastline to the summit, connected by stone paths that wind through dense forest. The most iconic image is the towering statue of Guanyin, roughly 33 meters tall, gazing out over the vast ocean as though silently protecting every vessel that has crossed these waters for centuries. As evening falls, golden light wraps the temple rooftops while clouds slowly cover the mountain. Sea, nature, and spirituality merge into a single landscape, creating a place so serene it scarcely seems possible that it exists. Stepping through the gates of Pingyao is like crossing 600 years of history in a single stride. Behind brick walls nearly 12 meters high, one of the best preserved ancient cities in all of China survives with an integrity that most heritage sites can only aspire to. Inside the fortress, time appears to have paused. Cobblestone streets, ancient wooden signboards, traditional shops, and rows of red lanterns preserve the same atmosphere that filled these alleys during the Ming and Qing dynasties. From the top of the walls, a sea of grey rooftops extends to the horizon with almost no trace of modern architecture. When night arrives, thousands of lanterns illuminate the city in a warm golden glow. In that instant, Pingyao stops resembling a tourist destination and becomes an open window into the China of centuries past. Few cities in the world have managed to preserve their soul for this long. And walking through Pingyao feels less like visiting a place and more like traveling through time. At 3,767 meters, Mount Taibai stands as the highest peak in eastern China. Its rocky summits are often hidden by clouds, while the landscape shifts with altitude, from dense forests to alpine meadows, barren slopes, and snow that survives even the height of summer. Hidden among the mountains, crystalline glacial lakes remain motionless, like mirrors reflecting the sky above. With each season, the landscape assumes a different palette. Green in summer, brilliant golden forests in autumn, a mantle of white snow and ice in winter. The grandeur of the natural world merges with the serene atmosphere of the altitude. Walking here feels like ascending toward the sky itself. For over 1,700 years, Huashan Tower has stood overlooking the vast Dongting Lake, surviving wars, fires, and the rise and fall of dynasties. Rebuilt many times, it remains one of China's three great historic towers. Its three golden roofs still watch over the same horizon, once admired by emperors, generals, and poets. From the summit, Dongting Lake stretches as far as the eye can reach, so vast that water and sky appear to merge into a single landscape. When the sun descends, golden light envelops the tower, while the immense lake transforms into a mirror of radiant warmth. More than an ancient building, Huashan Tower is a witness to nearly 2,000 years of history, a place where time seems to pause while the world continues to change around it. China hides a world unlike anything most people imagine. Near the borders of Laos and Myanmar, a vast tropical rainforest blankets the land with an endless sea of vegetation. This is the Xishuangbanna Tropical Botanical Garden, home to more than 13,000 plant species and one of Asia's richest tropical ecosystems. Colossal palms reach toward the sky. Centuries-old trees extend enormous roots across the ground. Giant lianas wrap around the forest as though trying to conceal a lost world within their grip. On the tranquil waters, the leaves of the Victoria lily reach nearly 3 meters in diameter, strong enough to support the weight of a child. Here, there are no snow-capped mountains, no ancestral temples, and no desert landscapes, only an exuberant jungle that makes you forget entirely that you are still standing in China. The Taihang Grand Canyon resembles a colossal labyrinth hidden among towering cliffs. From above, narrow canyons cut through massive rock formations. A green river winds along the canyon floor. Seas of cloud roll over the summits. The entire landscape feels sealed away from the outside world. Deeper into the canyon, stone walls, hundreds of meters high, nearly block out the sky. Wooden walkways cling to the cliff faces, cross deep ravines, and weave between enormous rock formations. Around every bend waits another surprise: a waterfall, a turquoise pool, a small stone bridge that seems placed there by a hand too patient to be human. History, legend, and faith intertwine in the same ground. What does this ancient mausoleum possess that allows it to continue inspiring veneration after so many millennia? Few mountains in the world offer the sight of the open ocean from their summit. Mount Lao is one of them, a place where granite, ancient forests, and the sea converge to create a landscape that seems almost impossible to compose from natural elements alone. Over millions of years, nature sculpted enormous blocks of granite into sharp peaks, vertiginous cliffs, and deep valleys. Among ancient pine forests, Taoist temples appear and vanish in the fog, as though they had remained hidden for centuries and reveal themselves only when the conditions are exactly right. From the summit, the yellow sea extends until it dissolves into the horizon. On the opposite side, endless mountains, draped in an intense green mantle, follow one another into the distance. When the fog descends, the entire mountain appears to float between the sky and the ocean. According to legend, Qin Shi Huang sent expeditions to this place in search of the elixir of immortality. What did this mountain conceal for even the first emperor of China to believe that the secret of eternal life could be found within its stone? Today, the old summer palace is a peaceful landscape of lakes and scattered ruins. But centuries ago, it was the famed Garden of Gardens, where hundreds of palaces, pavilions, and gardens combined Chinese and European architecture into one of the world's most magnificent imperial complexes. Today, among the trees, Corinthian columns still stand. Stone arches and destroyed fountains win as silent witnesses to a splendor that has disappeared. The lakes continue to reflect the willows and the ancient corridors, but the magnificence that once astonished the world can now be reconstructed only through the imagination. What lies scattered across the grounds is not simply rubble. It is the physical evidence of a question that has haunted visitors for generations. How could one of the most extraordinary gardens ever created vanish and be reduced to these silent ruins? The mountains disappear beneath the clouds. Only the golden rooftops of ancient temples continue to emerge above an infinite white expanse. The air grows increasingly silent. Fog wraps the trails, the pavilions, and the summits, making each step reveal a landscape entirely different from the one before. Finally, the enormous statue of the Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha rises among the mountains, commanding the horizon with a presence that makes the chest tighten. This is Mount Juhua, one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China. As the path climbs, centuries-old temples appear between pine forests, hidden upon cliff edges or embedded in gigantic walls of rock, as though they had always been part of the mountain rather than built upon it. Here, nature does not merely surround the temples. It appears to have protected them for centuries, transforming the entire mountain into an immense sanctuary suspended between the earth and the sky. On the surface, there are only mountains, forests, and absolute silence. But beneath this earth rests one of the greatest secrets of the Ming Empire. The Ming tombs contain the resting place of 13 emperors. To reach them, one must walk along the Sacred Way, an avenue flanked by dozens of stone statues that have appeared to guard every approaching step for more than 500 years. Behind the imperial walls lie monumental mausoleums, and beneath them a labyrinth of underground palaces, passages, and burial chambers sealed with enormous stone doors that have not been opened in centuries. What is most extraordinary is that much of this immense complex has never been excavated. To this day, a portion of the Ming Empire remains intact, waiting beneath the earth for as long as it takes for the surface world to decide what to do with what it has not yet seen. Every winter, an entire island disappears beneath millions of tons of snow. In its place rises a city built entirely from frozen white crystal. This is Harbin's Sun Island Scenic Area. When temperatures plunge below zero, artists from around the world transform millions of cubic meters of snow into palaces, castles, temples, and towering sculptures. In such extreme conditions, the act of creation becomes as remarkable as the masterpieces themselves. The most remarkable truth is that not a single work is created to last. When spring arrives, the entire snow city begins to melt and disappears completely, as though it had never existed at all. A few months later, winter returns. On the same island, an entirely new snow city is built, different from the year before, proving that sometimes the most spectacular works of art are also the ones that exist for the shortest time. Before Beijing became one of the largest cities in the world, an ancient temple already stood hidden among these mountains. For more than 1,700 years, Tanja Temple has watched dynasties, wars, and transformations pass through the land beyond its walls. But behind its weathered wooden doors, time appears to have chosen a different pace. Among forests of ancient pines and cypresses appear stone courtyards covered in moss, red wooden columns, and yellow rooftops that glow beneath the sun. Every corner holds the traces of centuries of prayer, silence, and accumulated history.